Hi, everyone. Sorry for the delay there. We just had a technical issue, but we're all sorted now. I'd like to introduce Fran O'Hara, who's going to be, the title of this session is Sketch Notes and Visual Thinking Using Pens and Pictures to Fight the Pandemic, Info and PowerPoint Overload. And this is going to be a great one because I know we've all been feeling the fatigue with Zoom and Teams and things like that. And personally, again, for me, it's like this whole week has been made for me because I am a PR background and I write all the time. And I've noticed lately I need to change it up a little bit by using pictures. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Okay.
Over to you, Fran.
Lovely. Okay. Hi, everyone. Apologies for a little delay. So it's going to be a whistle-stop tour through a range of visual thinking and ideas. I'm just going to share my screen. Select PDF file. No, it's not doing it. It was doing it a minute ago. Let's try this again. Just give us a second. Sorry about this. It was, there we are. There we are. All fine. There we go. Everybody see that one okay, yeah? So I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes just to give you some ideas behind it. And as you know, this has all been videoed, so hopefully you'll have a bit more time to digest it. So I wanted to do the presentation today because we'd talked to a lot of people since the start of the pandemic. I did some courses, like a lot of people probably did, to work out how we could transition to delivering our work online. So we do engagement, facilitation, as well as the graphics. And I did a course, I think it was about a couple of months in, and it was 3 nights a week for 2 hours, 5 till 7. And I thought, okay, that'll be, you know, how hard will that be? And it absolutely wiped me out, you know, physically and mentally. I just felt like I was fried. So I thought I really need to look into how this is different. It's, you know, it's a whole new world, and everybody I know, so many people were in the same position. So I did some research, and Harvard came out with an article at the time called Zoom fatigue. And I thought, oh my God, it's a thing. It's not just me looking at the screen a lot. So I created this visual for myself. And I was also learning to draw digitally on the iPad because I thought, well, that'll be quite a useful tool for us as well in meetings and thinking. So I used it to learn the program, and I found a lot of information. And then I thought, I'll make it open source because of the conversations I was having with people. So this visual, you can download it, you know, it's open source, and it went everywhere, absolutely everywhere. I was doing a course with somebody from Canada, and she said, I've seen your visual. People, you know, the NHS put it out in newsletters. So we recognized that everybody was feeling the same thing of like, it's not as simple as just learning to use Zoom or Teams or any of the other programs. So that's where, you know, the starter point came for me. It was like, I've really got to learn how to do a lot more self-care, as we all have, because we thought then, didn't we, that it was 12 weeks. So that was what I did at the start. I did the Zoom fatigue one, and just going to work out how to get on with this one. It's not moving on, Lee. I don't know how. Oh, there it is. I've got an arrow here. Sorry about this. Right, there we are. So then I did one called computer and text neck exercises, because again, I'd sort of got into that pose that a lot of people had, was where you were looking at the screen and you were sort of clamped into one pose. So I did sort of kind of this, and both of these are sort of digital versions of sketch notes. And I know that I'm an illustrator, so they're probably not exactly the same articles, but it just gives you an idea of a plan on a page. You can put a QR code onto it, which will link to other things. So it's the idea of using words and pictures on one page. So I did this one, and then a client, county council, we do a lot of stuff with the public sector, came and said, we're not allowed to use Zooms because there was that whole transition, wasn't there? So will you do a Teams fatigue visual? So we did the Teams one, and I'm just going to talk through this really. It's a lot of stuff that we know already. And the reason I'm doing this session is that I shared it again because seeing more now that a lot of public sector are going to have to work a lot more remotely, which we weren't expecting, I know, were we? But it's, you know, what I'm hearing from a lot of our public sector clients is we're all bracing ourselves, especially health, for the winter. So been tweeting this, sharing this again, and then Helen Bevan shared it, and it's had 600 likes and 200 and something retweets, you name it, in the last 2 days. So that was kind of a mini survey which said that people are really, again, starting to sort of, you know, think about self-care, and that it is going to be online working. So there's a lot of, if you start here, like I said, this is for you to use, and it is a version, you know, it's a sketch note, it's done digitally, but it's just got lots of different information. It's got a main image in the center, the title, because you kind of need one thing when it's a sketch note. And then you've got lots of different information around here. So there's all that thing about mental exhaustion, performance anxiety, it being stressful, the constant gaze when you're looking at the screen, and then the different things you can do, avoid multitasking, build in breaks, reduce other things on screen, check you need to use it, and then different things. And then I think a lot of it I put in about that I'd realized that when I was looking down and sketchnoting, I was changing my gaze, changing my posture, and I found it quite mindful. So one of the feedback that, or quite a few people fed back to that visual saying, I feel rude when I look down and I'm sketching or doodling, even though we know it's better for people. So the steer I would give is just tell people that you're going to do it and say, this is what I need to do. So use sketchnoting, any kind of visual note taking, as a tool to help manage yourself and your information. So those are just some basic sketch notes. This sketch note is about ideas. So the sketch note is basically when you're drawing or writing something for yourself, and it's about the ideas. It's not an art competition. I am a trained artist, so those were, you know, examples of my pictures, but it's not necessarily about that. So he came up with this. He's got a whole load of books if you're interested in it. And then if you just Google anything to, or search anything to do with hashtag sketch notes, there is so much stuff out there. And I think you really find it useful. There's lots of different tools there. There's lots of different videos. I mean, you name it. They call them Sketchnote Army for a reason. And he's great. Mike Roda shares a lot. They all do. There's just been a conference in Bilbao. There's a load of, from Portugal, there's a load of stuff online. So here we go. So this is what they are. That's why today's visual thinking and sketch notes. It's not about pictures and it's not about making it pretty. It's about creating a tool that you can use. They're usually, a sketch note is A4, A3. You can use it for whatever you want. You can use it as a sketch for yourself, a doodle for yourself. You can use it to share information. And it's words and pictures. Some people sort of draw them to start off with. And I'm like, it's not a competition. You're allowed to put words in there. So it's usually a small size. You can scale it up to flip charts and whatever else it is. And you just use it for whatever you want to. So planning, process design, prioritization, project management, presentations, big picture visualizations or prototyping, whatever you think you need to use it for. It basically goes down to a series of marks, and it isn't drawing. And I think a lot of people find that when I train, we trained a lot of people, just to take it apart, that really you just can make any shape using these 6 elements: the dot, the square, the circle, the wave, the triangle, the line. So you can make any shape using those. And if you think about it like that, hopefully it takes away the sort of anxiety that people have by calling it drawing. I think people were told off a lot by their art teachers. That's the feedback I get from people, is that that I can't draw. And I say, well, you don't have to be able to draw. You just have to be able to do some shapes. So when we do the activity, I'll go back to this slide, but I just wanted to show you that it's so simple to do, and you don't need to have any drawing ability. So this is an example, as I said, of a sketch note that I did from last year's Comms Hero. You kind of get your one idea and think, what am I going to do? And this is what we call a popcorn visual. Big title. She talked about values and anchors. I thought I'll do an anchor. We were talking about the different, waves of pandemic. So I thought I'll put some waves. And then the rest of it is just me writing and drawing what I kind of heard. This is digital, so you can revise it, but you can do a sketch and then just redraw it. These are examples of, and like I said, you'll see the presentation, so you can look at these in more detail. These are examples of other different types of sketch notes. 1 color, 2 color, full color. This lady here, the one in the middle, she shared that picture when she'd seen the Teams fatigue, saying, I've just started doing this. It's my first one. I mean, isn't that amazing? So again, people respond to visuals. 85 to 90% of people prefer seeing information in a visual format. So just by, as Sophia was saying, just by doing some form of picture that's not words, you're engaging people a lot more. And a lot of these, as you can see, are very simple. They're just a linear way of telling a visual story. Whatever works for you, it's just something that's a tool for you. So those are some different examples of it. Again, some more examples. These, if you look at the one on the left, it's basically a lot of lists drawn in different ways. So the one on the left is sort of linear lists. The one on the right is just a straight mind map. There's a lot of stuff about how to, if you've gone, oh yeah, I want to draw these kind of things. This is the guy who's head of the sketchnote army. So they'll teach you how to create different icons from things. So as you can see, just draw it with whatever you've got. You just need a black pen, maybe 1 or 2 colors, and just do whatever works for you, because I think looking away from the screen and doing something else and bringing that mindfulness stuff in is really important of the people that we've trained. So one of the things that we've done in the pandemic, which I've learned a lot from, is that I've done 4 courses with Companies House, because they obviously manage information. They've done a huge information overload. They're still working remotely, and they look like they're going to be like most people, a blended version of it. So I've trained, I think it's 30 something people, and done a bite size. So there's a lot of people in the organization who have an awareness of it, and they've really taken it on board. They've used it in presentations, they've used it with teams, they've used it themselves. So it's something that you don't have to have, an artistic background. I just want you to feel a bit confident, like you could just give it a go. So this is a lovely one that was drawn. This lady had obviously wanted to do it from school, jumped on it, and has been really pivotal, I think, in creating a more visual-led culture. And I think they were lucky in that they were given permission to do it. And that was something else that we saw from the Teams Fatigue tweets. People were going, oh, I do the visuals, but, I should be doing this. I think in the world we're in, if you want to draw, you draw, or mark make. And then if you want to share them, that's up to you too, isn't it? The sharing is you do need to feel a bit more confident on it probably, but at the same time, as we all know, if you have somewhere where you're sharing something, you do kind of put a bit more work into it, and then the feedback you'll get will be amazing, I'm sure. So don't feel that it has to be an amazing drawing. So this is one type of drawing that she's done, really lovely. But again, just 3 colors, isn't it? It's 3 colors. And the way we would do it is you could plan it with Post-its, you can draw it in pencil, then you can draw it with black pen, get your layout right, and then do another one where you do it finished. So again, there's no prizes for drawing it once off. Even I don't do that. A lot of the time we just doodle away, get the layout right. And layout is really, most of it is down to the layout, the spaces that you've got. And then this is another example of somebody else who just I went into a meeting, I was trying to explain a business strategy, so I did this. Much simpler, black line, but it's a discussion point, isn't it? It's something that disrupts. It gives you a way of talking to people. So again, now it's so easy to share things that if you're trying to have a conversation about something that in real life you might have been able to talk about a lot easier, popping up a visual and getting people to comment in the chat or whatever, at least gives them something else rather than you sitting there talking away and showing things, which we're seeing a lot of. So just showing the 2 examples of how people are using them. And this just did quickly before the meeting. And a lot of it, the visual thinking bit, is about you making sense of a story or a message or something that you're trying to say, because we are overloaded. And it is like people, somebody else posted in the Twitter last week, I never thought I'd see myself, 8 hours looking at a screen. That's going to turn most people's brains to porridge, isn't it? So it's a tool for you, and it's self-care. And if you think it works, then really try and find a way to bring in more visuals and, help create a visual culture, start that conversation, maybe change your name to Fran, creating I'm doodling today or something, but, be part of, communicators and people who are going to change the culture of the organization, because people really want it. They really want it. And if we are, as we're going to be for the next few months, anything we can do to make things work a bit better. So I'm conscious I'm going quite quick, but I want to show you quite a lot. So we've always encouraged our clients to doodle and draw. So this is an example of one. So that's their drawing at the top. And then this is what we ended up doing. Redesigning access to emergency care during COVID-19. They knew what they wanted to do, or they knew a starter point. That really, isn't it? It's just, I think that's drawn on an iPad, but that's just a series of lines and dots. But it helped them work out what they needed to do. So again, it's not a drawing competition. It's basically, you tell me the story that you want to say. And imagine if you showed that in a meeting, you're going to have a much better meeting than if somebody's sitting there trying to describe it. And you get to the result a lot faster. So maybe you can have a shorter meeting, because meetings are meant to be quicker. So the other thing that we've started to do a lot of and has worked really well is that we'll create a template and we'll email it to people in advance, or we'll post them physical copies of it and say, this is what we want to have a conversation about. with a couple of companies like Community Transport and another company we're working with, posted them some just nice basic pens, because Tesco's, other brands are available. You can get some great pens now. So this is an example of, we posted templates, and it meant during the meeting, everybody was looking down away from the screen. And I think if you can do that, if you can get people not to look at the screen, it's a win. And people like it. We say, right, you go and draw something for 10 minutes, have a cup of tea, do whatever you want, look down. It's again, it's about actively making a visual-led culture and giving permission. So this here, one of the ladies drew, and then we took these elements into our map. And again, somebody else, I think it was the same lady, actually drew this, and then we created the map. So they told us what they needed pictures of. But as you can see, everybody went around and they presented their visuals. So again, it was a really interesting way as a presentation tool, moving us away from PowerPoint, which we'd all like to, I know. There's a reason it's called Death by PowerPoint. And this is another one. You drew it out using different colors for hierarchy. It's the same thing. It's basically a mind map, isn't it? We've made it look a bit more fancy, but you could have had the same conversation with that sketch. So again, I just wanted to emphasize, it doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to be legible. And if you want legible text, just write slightly slower. That's my top tip on that one. Just write slightly slower. And now we're going to do a little bit of an activity. I'm going to switch to the other camera. We use Shutterstock a lot. There are obviously other image libraries available, and with Shutterstock you can download free positional images, so you can look there and get inspired. How you lay something out depends on what the story is you're going to tell. So this one here is basically a project planning, a timeline, an issue that you're trying to think about, something that's in steps. Is it a transformation? Is it a framework? Any kind of information that's segmented. And these are all sort of the same story that they're telling, but you can see there's lots of different layouts. So this one looks quite creative, but again, it's a straight line. And they've got 5 pieces of information. They've just done a rocket and it's reversed out. The road map, the pathway, we've seen a lot of those now, haven't we, with how things are delivered. This is more of a linear one. It's numbered. It's got 4 spaces. This one is the same one, but they've used a wavy arrow and they've put them at above and bottom. Same again with this one here. They've used a little bit of an icon. This is a very straightforward one. It does help you to put things, if you're a linear thinker and you've got information. I know the police, one of my friends is district nurse, said the police were trained in storyboarding because it helped them work out the sequential stages of a timeline. And they could say to people, right, what happened in here? You said you were here, that's whatever. So that's really interesting, isn't it? That a lot of different sectors that you wouldn't expect are really adopting visuals or just drawing and sketching things out. So this is sort of a stepped pathway. So these are just some different layouts, and then this sort of the mind map thing. I'm going to go back to that sketch, and we're going to create a 5-step plan for something. And I hope you've all got pens. And if you've got any questions or whatever, please do ask them. I'm not going to do the 15 minutes at the end. I'm going to carry on just drawing through till we get to the, I think it's 5-2. It's going to come back in. But right now, I'd just like you to have a go at drawing shapes, and we'll draw some of the elements that we can see in here. We're going to draw a magnifying glass. We're going to draw some kind of document for a plan. We're going to draw a person. Always have an idea, light bulb. And we're going to do a vision. And that should just give you an idea of how simple it is to create a series of icons. So I'm just going to go back to that slide that I showed. So I'm hoping you've all got pens. I can't see, I don't know where the comments are on here, but or you speak out. Lee will tell me how to do it. Okay. So, like I said, it's been a whistle-stop tour, but hopefully it's enough to get you confident and to get you just go and look for more things around sketchnoting. So first of all, let's just do a minute of, I'm just going to switch the cameras around. Let me just do this one. So we're going to do the dot, the circle, the triangle, the square. And these are called seed shapes, came out of America originally 40 years ago when they did some consultation, when they realized if they drew things or created visual, people were more inclined to engage with them. It was an urban planning guy who started called David Sibbett. And then Mike Roeder did a sketch note version of them so that he could create notes at a conference. So these are the seed shapes here. I'm going to switch cameras. Hopefully this will work. We tried it earlier. I'm sorry, I don't know how to. I don't normally use this program. Imagine seed shapes backwards.
They're the right way around.
They're the right way around. Okay, that's good. So these are the seed shapes that we talked about. You can use any pen. I've got one that's a bit thicker today. We love this pen here.
I'm putting the details in the chat.
Yeah, so John's put the details in the chat. The Papermate, this is a very nice fine pen, will be a bit small on here. So we've done the seed shapes, and as I said, we can make a series of different images from these. So we use the clock a lot. There's always time, there's always a deadline, there's a clock. So you can do a circular, old-fashioned kind of clock. Just got little things. Make it as simple as possible. The key is to draw your image with as few lines as possible. Because your brain fills in the gaps, it goes, okay, that's a clock, because I've seen that. So that's one version of a clock. And again, we've used a circle, we've used curves, semicircles. That's basically it. If you find a circle a bit hard, try again. You can just do a square, and you might think, okay, I'm going to make that into some kind of watch. So I'm going to do a strap. But as you can see, it's a square with two kind of rectangles next to it. Because your brain, the minute it sees that, knows it's a clock, because it fills it all in. It's very clever. And then you can also write the words underneath it. And when we talk about the letters you make up from here as well. That's a straight line. That's a semicircle. Straight line, horizontal, horizontal. We've done a triangle. We've done a horizontal line. Straight line, straight line. As I said, just write slower and neater, because people say my handwriting is illegible, and I said that's okay, because you're not doing handwriting, you're basically doing sketch note writing, and it has to be legible. If it's not legible, people can't see it. So we've got deadlines, we've got time, a light bulb for ideas, thinking, visual thinking. That again is a circle. Draw it a bit slower, otherwise it can look like a blob of plasticine. And then you can just do your little wiggle here and a little circle. And then you can go up with a straight, do a curve, down. It's quite nice to have little flashes. But you think how quick that is. So that could be idea, thinking. You do some kind of document. That's a rectangle there. You've got your little comedy corner on it. You can make it into a book. As you can see, it's just hardly any lines. Write your title in here. It's a report. So it could be the brief. Could be the plan. What framework are we doing on it? Arrows are very useful. So if you're shown direction of a framework or things like that. So you can see we've got a series of icons, but you can basically copy any icon. Use your phone. Phones are good. Again, do your little camera, do your Wi-Fi thing, make it 3D. And then any kind of face. Like I said, if you have a look at sketchnoting, we can use emojis. So you can see already, it's very simple. I just wanted to show you how quick it is just to sketch something out. So if you're listening to a presentation, you don't need to spend hours and you don't need to draw very neatly. These were done super quick, literally just with a pen, because I'm not precious about them. If you're drawing for yourself, it doesn't matter what it looks like as long as it's legible. If you're drawing for others, you might go, okay, I've done that in that meeting. I'm going to redraw that and I'm going to share that with people. I'm going to get feedback on it. I know people who've done sketch notes in Companies House and presented whole strategies, because it disrupts and it also starts a different kind of conversation. So now we're going to go back to those visuals that I showed you and create a timeline for a plan, a project plan. So you can think about anything that will work for you, anything at all you think, okay, I've got It could be, I've got a meeting, so it could be an agenda. I might want to do a timeline. I might want to do a project plan. Or it could just be thinking around a problem. So visual thinking, a problem start first. Something that you just want to think about. So think about something for you that will work. We're basically going to just draw one of those very quickly, just for you to feel, right, I'm thinking about something here. What am I thinking about? So I'm thinking about using, write your title on the top, sketch notes. So I'm going to think, what am I going to do first? I'm going to do my little light bulb. Where am I going to do it? And I'm just going to do one of the simplest ones that we had, which is basically bouncy arrows, I call that one. Where am I going to do it? Who am I going to do it for? Which client? And these bouncy arrows, you basically leave the amount of information that you think you need. So I think I'm going to need about, I'm going to leave myself 4 columns. And it's the same if you're listening to any of the presentations over the Comms Hero Week. I was hoping that if you are listening to something, you might think, right, so she's talked about 4 areas of communicating when in a meeting with blah, blah, blah. So you basically segment your information. As I said, we'll be sharing those different layouts you can do it. So this is when am I going to do it? I'm going to try and do it whenever I'm in a Zoom meeting, blah, blah, blah. So this one, we might have a little clock. My pen's a bit fat for this size, but I'm going to keep going because you can see it. And the purpose and why. And this is really important. Why are you doing it? And your why, as we know, will define what you're doing. So basically, I've just got a very simple project planning timeline. Like I said, we could work the other ones out. I've got some spaces in here that I could do something else in if I wanted to. Who's doing it? I might think this person here might do a little mind map in here of whatever else it is. I might think about which equipment do I need? Speech bubble. Which tools do I need to get? Love buying a bit of pen. So I'm about 1.5 minutes away. So you can see from this, and then using really, as we saw in some of those examples that I showed you, you don't have to use a lot of colour. You might decide to colour code each area in a different way. So I'm going to colour in my light bulb, because colouring in is my job, as my children say. And all I've done is do a little shadow here. So I'm going to make where is here. Sometimes people with sketchnoting, it's the same as scrapbooking. If you go onto Pinterest, you'll be awash with things. So I might have, these are chisel tip, but again, fine pens will work for you. So I'm going to use this, one of my favorite colors here. So I'm going to go into who's doing this here. Just adding a little bit of color. You can underline, you can go round, whatever you want to. When am I going to do it? Okay. So they call it a place for the brain to rest, don't they? Anything that will help you underline whatever you want to. And because we're Scarlet Design, I'm going to do a big fat red. And then a nice grey drop shadow. I'll go on with a bit of grey. There we go. 8 seconds to go. So hopefully that's helpful. this is what I do a lot of, and this is what the clients use a lot of. Sorry, this way around. It's the opposite today. Just sketch it out and hope you do start using visuals and you do start showing them, because if you've done that neatly, that is a great visual tool to use with people. You've looked away from the screen and people hopefully will encourage others to do it. So that's me done. 5-2, hopefully that's on schedule. If you've got any questions, we're on Twitter. It's all there. I know that was quicker than we planned, but hopefully that's given you a bit of confidence to do it. I hope so, because everybody's got in us. We always used to draw as children, didn't we? And now hopefully you'll see it as a business tool, which is the big difference. So over to you, Sophia. I hope you had a little bit of a sketch then while we were going on. I'm not going to ask you to share.
Oh, I did, yeah, because I've never done this before. And, you know, one of the comments that I made at the start of your session was, I said to Lee, yeah, but I can't draw. And then you said, you don't have to be able to draw. I thought, right, I'm going to give it a go. I have just tweeted it. So if anyone wants to see it.
Oh, great, fantastic. Well done, you.
At the Comms Hero, and Lee's been doing some as well. So we've really joined in there. Thank you.
Oh, great.
Let's have a look at some of the questions. So we have, I think you've mentioned some of the tools, and I know that you mentioned hashtag sketch notes, and there's lots of tips and tools on there. Yes. But we do have a question in asking, what tools do you recommend? What brand, pens, books, etc.?
Yeah, so as I said, Mike Roder, if you want to, sketch noting is the A4, A3 size, so the smaller size here, which people would use with the Zoom and the Teams meetings and stuff like that. So I think using that, as I've said, you know, go to a shop and try them out. There is a professional one, the stuff that I was using here, they're Neuland, and they are the ones that you can use that smaller size, and they're also flip chart size. And they've got a whole range of pens. They sort of created a German company, they're amazing. But I think the rest of it is just find some pens that you like we use the Papermate ones here. Just find pens that you like and find colours that you like. Some people use all the colours, which can be, you know, quite exciting, and some people use less. So, and I know Mike Roder's brought out Sketch Notebook, but mainly it's just to get yourself a nice A3 pad where the paper's nice and smooth, and that's kind of it really. Just give it a go. And then also it's quite nice, like this is just copy of paper, so you're not so precious. You just kind of think, okay, I'll just rattle it out there. So just a nice pen is what I would say. Invest in a bit of equipment.
Fantastic. Yeah. Because we've just used our Papermates.
Yes.
This is what I came up with. That's me and Lee getting a good night rest before Comms Hero, remembering all the passwords and logins so we can get this going. So yeah. And Lee's gonna. So, yeah, it's brilliant. It's good fun. I like your pens. I think I'm going to invest in some of them, because having a good pen, I think will just make me draw more.
I know, that's what happens is they get a set of pens and then they start drawing because of it. So
yeah, it's really therapeutic as well as you're doing that. You, like you said, you're sort of lost in getting that message across. So yeah, that was really good. That was good fun. I hope everybody joined in. Oh, we've lost Fran.
Yeah, so I've just switched the camera.
Oh, there you are. We lost you for a second, but I realised you were switching cameras. Yeah, it is. It's really therapeutic. It's good fun. I hope if everybody else has joined in that you're enjoying it as much as me and Lee, especially when Lee said that I can draw because he likes his drawing. He likes the picture of him.
That's it. Profile picture right there.
Really chuffed with that. So we'll all be doing it. But you're on Twitter, aren't you, Fran? And can people contact you on there and ask any other tips and things like that?
Yeah, people will be. And I'll be doing some visual minutes or some notes like I did the ones from last year, and I'll be sharing those as we go along, and we'll put those on the website that people can have. But really, I just want people to have a go, because like you said, that switch of, oh, I'm not drawing, there's no drawing police anywhere. It's about mark making and just doing it for you. It's you need that balance, I think, isn't it, with all the Zoom and Teams fatigue that we're all having.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. We have got some Sharpies here. Have you ever drawn with them?
I do draw with a Sharpie. They're very nice. You have to put extra paper underneath. They're very nice at a certain scale, so don't do too small with them, but they are really lovely. So I draw a lot with black like you did, and then I go and put colour afterwards, and Sharpies are good because they're permanent. So when you put the colour, it doesn't smudge. That's the only thing you've got to be careful about, is you don't want to smudge your drawing at the end. But yes, no, Sharpies are very nice. You have to be careful, don't sniff them too much, isn't it? You'd be there for 25 minutes.
Well, I know how did you get into it, Fran? Did you always know that that's what you want to do as a job, or
Well, I had a weird career progression. So I did design and illustration at uni, and then I did a lot of different stuff with community engagement stuff. And then I went to Hong Kong, and then I worked for Disney for 4 years in Hong Kong and LA. And then they all about visual storytelling. And then I really understood then that it is all about creating a story that people get really quickly. So the idea that you've got to draw something on a page and you've got to tell that story makes you tell the story better, which, as we know, with all the comms people, your sort of comms area is getting smaller and smaller. It's sort of, your timeline you've got is shorter, what you can do. So that's what I got from Disney. They're visual storytellers. And then we just do lots of comms with people now. And the more we train people, like we trained Wrexham Council frontline staff, and they do it with people with learning disabilities who've got low literacy. We've done it, we taught people with learning disabilities, I've taught people with dyslexia, and then we go right up to company's house. We've just taught so many different types of people. And there's usually, in any group or any team or organization, there's one or two people who absolutely love it. And there'll be an amazing caricaturist, or there's somebody who just has always done scrapbooking, and she goes like that. And then there's a bucket of pens under a table. So find out in your team the people who like it, because everybody's got it. It's just now it's more acceptable, isn't it, to use it at work. People kind of went, oh, that's something separate. So that's what we are. We're on a mission to get everybody using pictures, especially now with the pandemic. Is use more pictures and colour in. I'd say.
That's amazing. I want everybody to find that person in their team, and if they're that person, to tweet some of their examples. That would be brilliant. Thank you so much. We have got. So after this, we have got the social lounge if everyone wants to go in there. Fran, I don't know if you're staying around for that in the social lounge.
Yeah,
jump on a table and chat to you. That would be brilliant. Do take photos, everyone, when you're on those tables, and tweet them, because we are running some competitions for the Sharpies. So you can go and do your drawings. And
gorgeous, Sharpies.
They are, aren't they? I think I've got 3 packs of them. Not from here. I didn't win them. But I forget to use them, but I'm going to use them all the time now with all these tips. We also have, I always find this one a bit strange, the pet one. So I know that a lot of people got pets in lockdown, especially dogs. Yeah. So if you have got them, do take a picture and tweet us, because we have got vouchers for pets at home, and we're also giving away Amazon vouchers. So do join in, everyone. And I just want to give a shout out to the sponsors who helped make this week happen, really. So as well as behind the scenes, we have Lee working his magic. We do have some official sponsors, Staff Base, Prezi, React and Share, Red Kai, and First Up, which are all on the top of the screen as well for you all to see. So thank you to them. If we can give some emojis to Fran and the sponsors, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Fran.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Brilliant. So thank you. See you.
Pictures.
Yeah. See you in the social lounge.
Okay.